You're here with Mark on perfectgardens.com. I just wanted to invite one of our VIP members onto the channel so that he could talk about one of his experiences. We have another VIP member, Jason, that comes on. We've shot about 6, 7, 8 videos with him. We have another 4 more videos coming out in the next few months with Jason. Stig, I wanted to also bring on the channel, and hopefully we develop a grow series with him as well over time, because when you have the desire to want to do the best you can and bring the true potential of these plants out, and just maybe a little bit of guidance, a couple of different products that have higher caliber or higher quality, you can really see that potential. And with Jason and now with Stig, I think their stories should be documented so that they become information and knowledge for growers out there. They can be stepping stones so other people can follow in their footsteps. So Stig, please go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you got started growing.
Just want to give a special shout out to Grassroots Fabric Pots. Without their amazing pots, we wouldn't have been able to get the yield we got.
Yeah, I'm Stig. I'm from Scandinavia, and I got started about maybe 3.5 years ago. Just, was curious to start my own grow. And yeah, that led to researching a lot on YouTube. And there was a lot of, good ones out there and bad ones out there. And I got into Mr. Grow It, and you were invited as a guest there. And you were the first guy that sent a spreadsheet before the interview. So when you went on that program, you had that knowledge with the nitrogen cycle, and you know that spreadsheet that you send out.
Yeah.
And that was like, this guy is really good. And then I got checking out Perfect Garden, and I got the $2.99 membership, and I just loved the atmosphere at the Perfect Garden. But I wanted to try this $50 a month subscription. So yeah, the rest is history. I mean, I love it. The camaraderie and the knowledge that you have and the other guys in the group it's mind-blowing what I have done over the last year, maybe 1 year now, maybe.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the yield differences. Do you have an actual yield from this harvest? Total?
It was almost triple.
So what was your total yield in flower?
In flower, it was 11.7 pounds.
11.7 pounds in this harvest. How about last
12. Yeah,
last harvest?
Last harvest was 2.2 kilos. How much is that in pounds?
Yeah, that was it's 4.85 pounds, about 250% increase in yield. And
I just wanted to say, I also, one thing I can do better is the Sea of Green. I mean, I had never done that before. So that was a first for me as well. So I think with this next upcoming grow, what I learned on how to do a Sea of Green will only get better. And also with the soil in the sow beds, you said that the soil will get better the longer it goes. So there's potential there.
Well, let's get into this, because I want to have people hear from the horse's mouth, right? Your first grow, was it synthetic or organic? What did it look like?
My first grow was synthetic. All my grows has been synthetic until I met you. So, and there have always been in 2.5 or 3 gallon pots. I started out with HPS and metal halide light, and then switched to LED. And I had a 4x4 area with 9 3 gallons or 9 2.5 gallons. So that's the way I grew until I got into the VIP program and we started talking. And the first grow we did together, I switched from advanced nutrients to the raw nutrient line, NPK industry. That was our first grow together.
And so just to be clear with everyone, you yielded 4.85 pounds using the highest quality synthetic fertilizer and the cleanest synthetic fertilizer in the industry, and also using their microbe line and everything, you spent, I mean, how much on their fertilizer possibly?
I think I bought the whole line. I think I ended up spending something around $1,000 maybe.
About $1,000. And how much did that
Yeah.
nutrient line get through? Did you use it all up by the end or mostly?
No, some of it I bought too much. I still have some of it left, but it's hard to estimate because after I got talking to you and you were steering me towards living soil, I mean, I'm never going back. So
Well, how many grows do you think you would have been able to get through with all the nutrients you purchased? 2 grows or 3 grows?
maybe like one. I don't think I will get through one more. I had to buy some more from Roll, but they're more expensive here in Europe than they are in America because of customs and we always have to pay 35% penalty taxes for anything from the US. But anyways, I mean, compared to what I spent on the living soil nutrients, it's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, how much did you roughly spend on your entire, because we did a rough, I mean, almost a complete upgrade in your entire system from pots, soil, all of it, correct?
Yeah, everything except the lights and the climate. I mean, everything from I bought 4 saw beds, 4x4 saw beds. I bought from Down to Earth. It was nut meal, bone meal, alfalfa meal, and all-purpose. And then I bought kelp and langmanite. And then I bought drops of balance and meatballs. That was roughly, I don't remember, but maybe the nutrients was like $1,000, and that will take me through maybe 5 grows. The langmanite I will have to, but we made a recipe that is a neutral recipe that I use always. Then I top dress with langmanite. Maybe it's good for 8 grows, the whole thing. The only thing I need to purchase is, I forgot to mention EM1.
Mm-hmm.
I do fermented EM1 where I use molasses and the EM1. I don't know if your members are familiar with the process, but I always use that when I'm watering fermented EM1.
So total amount of spending you've spent with soil and nutrients and everything.
Not the soil was
Yeah,
but
but
the
total
soil
with the
was
soil.
$1,000 maybe. It was like 165 gallon of soil in each fabric bed.
So
Probably the same prices as in the US.
So just to confirm this, you use the highest quality synthetic nutrient line in the industry, and my viewpoint is both nutrient lines, Advanced Nutrients and NPK. You did switch. There was a couple big differences, but you did switch from your 2 to 3 to 5, and some were larger gallon-sized pots to a larger grow bed, and grew all the plants in just one grow bed. How many plants? 6 plants per grow bed, if I remember straight.
Yeah. And did the Sea of Green for the first time.
And so that cost $1,000. You would have got about a grow and a half out of that nutrient. So with the dry amendments and all your upgrades, that cost about $3,500. Although you have enough nutrients now for, let's say, 4 grows. And so if you would have had to, with the NPK nutrients, if you would have had to kind of match it, that would have cost you also about $3,000 in NPK nutrients. But the difference in your yields, if you would have kept going with the synthetic and staying the same, obviously there is one variance. Would the synthetic nutrients have increased your yield with the larger pot? What would that yield have been? Although, when you really think about it, if you would have stuck the same, that would have yielded you 15 pounds. Although, if we keep going the direction and hold what we're holding, you would yield roughly 33 to 35 pounds. And that's just a dried flower. So,
Yeah.
we're not talking about the biomass, right?
Yeah, I didn't measure from the first trim, but from the second trim, it was almost 1 kilo of dry mass from the second trim. I always take out the big fan leaves and I strip from the stem. I strip the biggest leaf. I don't use that as biomass. So this is just the fine trimming.
And how much vine trim did you have?
1 kilo of
On this harvest or last harvest?
this one.
Okay,
I haven't measured it before.
got it. So total biomass is roughly 14 pounds of biomass, total biomass you harvested, including the flour and trim. So
I call them popcorn buds, which I also save because I trim them as well, and they go for half price. So that was half kilo as well.
okay, so 14 and a half pounds. So in 3 harvests, when you run out of nutrients with your upgrade of $3,500, you potentially will yield close to 45 pounds. And you did add one more light, if I remember straight.
I bought a new one from Shane at Mybro, and so I have one 5x5 light, and I have three 4x4 lights, but I kind of using it 4.5 by 4.5 because the light spread it was so good anyway. So yeah, you saw my construction there on the. Maybe you can show some pictures on how I extended it out with the net and things like that with pipes.
So just to kind of break this down a little bit further, how many lights did you have total?
Total of 4 lights.
4 lights. How many plants did you have?
6 in each every bed. So 24 plants girls in total.
Okay, so you yielded each plant roughly over a pound, so 0.6 pounds per plant. And this was all living soil, so dry amendments, drops of balance, EM1, Organoshield, correct? Do you have Organoshield?
No.
I didn't
get that one.
I forget.
Yeah.
We didn't ship it out to you at the time.
No, and I'm blessed, knock on wood, that I have never had any problems with spider mites or any insect like that. Maybe it's a thing in Scandinavia that we don't have actually much bugs. But I keep the place clean as well, so I'm very thorough when it comes to growing. I take it serious.
I mean, that's a 300% increase in yield.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I was starting to seeing this. It was unreal when they were fattening up. You have seen all the pictures. I mean, I did a grow journal for the members at Perfect Garden where I did an update every week, and they were just wow.
And I mean, what did the plants look like from the NPK nutrients at the end of the grow versus the plants at the end of the grow with your nutrient with the current grow?
Yeah, but I mean, with the NPK, with the raw nutrient line and the problems I have had, and this is maybe me being a bad grower, I don't know, but it always seems the problems always started around week 3 and 4 into flower. So maybe you can just blame the nutrient line, but I was having some kind of a pH problem, but we sorted that out with the drops of balance. But we didn't try that with the raw nutrient line because didn't have drops of balance then. So I had some sort of pH problem, I think, with my water, but not anymore when I'm using drops of balance.
You're correct. You can't blame it on the nutrient line, right? Although the nutrient line never gets above 1,300 parts per million. It's made in line with living microbes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're an undedicated grower. You're a very, very dedicated grower. So I do acknowledge that, like you said, it's not that you can't blame the nutrient line. Although, you know, when you have multiple people looking at the plants on a somewhat daily basis, you know, and they're still not able to navigate away from having a healthy plant at the end of the grow, you know, it's kind of like one of those situations where maybe also the nutrient instructions possibly on how they're recommending people need to be adjusted. I'm not sure. But like we said, you know, we switched over to dry amendments, a couple liquid nutrients to help break down the dry amendments. And we relatively almost did not have a single plant deficiency. I mean, there was a couple. I mean, one or two, right?
Yeah, but it was towards the end. And maybe I used a little bit. We should also mention that I grow from seed. I don't use...
How long did you veg before you flipped?
I don't remember. I'm on day 28 now, and they are going into the soil beds, and maybe 7 or 8 weeks. in the wedge.
before you flipped. So, I mean,
It's not crazy, any crazy numbers.
it's not crazy, any crazy numbers.
And I was also something that it was so relieving with stopping with the MPK and the advanced nutrient is there's no mixing.
Yeah.
Mixing every batch takes a lot of time, and you gotta get that ppm. We don't use ppm in Scandinavia. We use EC instead. It's pretty the same thing, but anyway, take away all that, and it was less maintenance with the water, less water going in, so you spend less time with living soil. And now that I know my soil, that I know how much water I need, it's gonna be more easy this time because now I know my soil. So now I know how much water to put in.
It should also get better too, because on this grow, besides you re-amending the top beds of the soil, what we also did too is we did not break up the root systems. You chopped it right there, right, and planted right next to the old plant. Was that correct?
I think like maybe 3 by 3 inches, and I dig a hole like maybe 5 inches deep and took the roots out from there, and I just filled it up with new soil. And then we are doing a test this time.
Yep.
Where we are planting a seed directly in one soil bed. So there's 6 seeds in one soil bed, and then the other one is growing in a separate tent. We'll see if it's making any difference.
Just to explain that a little more, we dropped 6 seeds directly into the soil beds, and then the other plants we started exactly the same way we started the last grow, in pots, transplanting them up. And whenever you're growing out there, I highly recommend whenever you want to make a change, only make a change to about 10, maximum 20% of your grow room. You don't want to make a change. I mean, and we talked about this actually. I think we actually talked about when we're making all the pot changes and all this. I was like, we're making more than one change. Are you sure you want to do this? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, okay. And in this situation, because how well we yielded and the quality and everything came out on the second grow, we don't want to change too much more. But we do want to know, can we simplify our life? If we were able to just directly put the seeds directly into those pots, and we're able to get the comparable or larger yield, then that reduces the amount of time you have on each pot and each seed, which gets back your freedom from your grow room, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do the transplanting and the pots and the filling of that. And it allows you to kind of, increase your efficiency and increase your ROI because you're putting less time input into your grow.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm looking forward to see how they're doing compared to, I'm going to transplant the rest of the girls midweek. So then they're all going to be in soil beds.
So just to document this, are your soil beds, the ones you put the seeds in, did you pull the roots out, or did you just chop it at the base of slightly below the stalks and then put the seed directly back into that same hole?
I chopped the stem off, but then I took one of those garden tools, I don't know the English word, but just to cut around it like this. So I will maybe like this deep into the soil and maybe like this wide. I made a hole and I pulled the whole thing up and the roots that came with it.
Oh.
Then I just put in new soil and I mixed a bag of soil in a cement mixer, and I used that soil for the seed. And then I used it in the solo cups where I have my other seed.
So perfect. So we're doing one pot, we're guaranteeing it is relatively a no-till garden.
Yeah.
One thing that did pop in my mind, I think we should also burr some small holes throughout the pot so that it helps increase oxygen transferability throughout it. So we just didn't do that, but let's also make some holes throughout the pot so it allows for water to penetrate through and just break up some of it.
Yeah, but you told me a trick, which I did, but that wasn't for that course. It was more to measure how wet the soil is. You take the bamboo stick, put it through, take it up and feel it with your fingers. But I didn't do it on that because,
Let's do that on that pot, just to increase it a little bit. Just for the other pots now, are you planning to break up the soil more?
No, yesterday I did a U.S. cup of dry amendment, and I water that in. So when I transplanting the rest of the ladies, the dry nutrients will be available. And I will also use mucus always when I transplant
For
that stimulate the root growth and stuff like that.
the mycos, right? The beneficial bacteria.
Yeah,
fungi.
mucus is maybe it's called. Yeah, I say mucus.
Just in case if people are like, oh, what's that product? Mucus.
Mucus.
Yeah. All right. So right now in this grow, you're actually doing a no-till garden throughout your entire grow. You've removed the main core, the main taproot of the old plant, and you'll be putting the new plants as well as the seeds in the same hole with fresh soil, mycos, and then watering with DAB and EM1, fermented EM1. And how much top dress did you do?
I think I did 9 tablespoons at week 3 or 4 of Langmanite.
And just so everyone knows, I know you guys are probably wondering what was his base mix, and it is his proprietary formula. So he asked us to not release that information. If you are on the VIP, he will share that information. But we created a custom blend for his soil composition and for what he was growing. So then all those dry amendments, we actually ended up mixing them all together. So I can't just tell you, oh, go grab the 444 from Down to Earth, because that was one of the main bases. But we ended up adding in a number of other compositions to create a custom blend for his soil mix. So just to let you know, how much of your custom blend did you top dress with per grow bed?
I used 1 US cup. A US cup is about 220 mil. And I only did that once or twice, I think. I have to look in my document. And then I did 9 tablespoons of Langmanite for the potassium for the last weeks of flower. So that was the only thing I did, because I have already mixed all my soil with this base nutrient that you were talking about. I used a cement mixer for the first grow.
So you still have tubs of the mixed dry amendments, correct?
Yeah.
Unmixed in soil.
I think I have like for at least 5 or 6 more grow. If I'm only going to use a cup every 4 to 5 weeks, as we talked about earlier.
And sorry, go ahead.
Maybe that's a little bit too little. I don't know. We will see how the plants react.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Was same thing with this grow, is that we know what to add into that soil in the initial grow, right? But when you are growing these crops, a cup is not always the exact amount, right? You might need a cup and a cup and a half every 4 weeks. But when you do that, what you're doing is you're feeding the microbes, and the microbes are going to have enough food to keep feeding your plants. And is there this exact measurement? Well, what ends up becoming incredibly important through this process is really understanding your watering practices, because your microbes will break down these dry amendments and make them water soluble, right? And when they become water soluble, they become a salt, and a water soluble salt, really technically acids, right? Water soluble acids that are transferred in a water soluble form. And when you begin to have drybacks, or your watering practices begin to become inconsistent through maybe being a little complacent, which always happens. Grow after grow, a lot of people become complacent because, their yields are increasing. They want to relax a little bit. Their watering practices become inconsistent. And then what ends up happening is salt begins to form. And at some point, you get back to the consistent watering because you start to have problems, but those salts dissolve really quickly. So what you end up seeing is a toxicity in phosphorus and potassium, and then potentially a deficiency really quickly, because you're having these drybacks, these salts dissolve, and then potentially some growers will quickly go to a flush real fast, which I don't recommend. They go to a flush real quickly, which then creates a deficiency because they wash all their trace minerals out of their soil system and restart their electrical conductivity. So there is some things around dry amendments that you have to learn the proper amounts to add in, because you could add in too much langanite, and that is a rock that does dissolve fairly quickly, which could cause toxicity in the phosphorus and potassium, because langanite is
potassium.
Potassium, thank you.
0020, I think.
Thank you.
So I also one important thing that you taught me was how to water. I mean, how to water in the amount you put in every time. instead of doing maybe like 2 pours, I do like maybe 8 pours, small amount. So you don't get those, what they call, I don't want to have any runoff, but I still want to have wet soil. And learning that is putting in some watering, waiting for 10, 15 minutes, put in some more, and learn your soil. I think that was a very important lesson that you taught me.
You can never overwater. You can only under-oxygenate. And it's like you said, right there, watering to the point where it's just a tiny bit. You don't have to water to the point where it's flooding out the bottom of the pots. And like when you do that, like we talked about,
And it's channeling also as well. And that channeling won't go away and will stay there through the whole grow.
Yep, exactly. And what he's talking about channeling is like ants burrowing through the soil, right? The water will find the path of least resistance and will create dry pockets while it travels through all these little pockets or tunnels that gets created throughout your soil.
Yeah, because I can see it now. I have my ladies now. Before I transplant them into the soil beds, I have them in 1 gallon pots. And some are, when I'm pouring in just a tiny bit, and at the edges, if you touch the edges, the water comes right out. So even there, so that's the drawback of small pots.
Have you tried your medicine on this last harvest?
Yeah, I mean, I can feel the difference in the flavors are much more stronger. It feels smoother, and the whole experience is, you can't compare it. I don't know if it's my mind because I'm so into it, but I have had friends try it, and they say that this is the best stuff they ever had. So that's a pretty good.
And you've been growing the same strain, right? This is the same strain. You have not deviated in strains for how long?
For maybe like 2 years. They were, unfortunately, this time they were out. So I'm staying with the same seed company, but I'm switching strain.
Okay, so but last grow, it was the same.
What's the same strain I grew for 2 years?
Okay, so now you're deviating from a different strain now, but last strain, your friends that tried it were able to compare because they had experience from previous grows, right?
Yeah, I started out with a label called Golden Label from the Netherlands, and then I switched to Advanced Nutrients and then to the Raw Nutrients. So they have smoked all over them. And they said for every time I switched, and I tricked them once because I stopped flushing, but I didn't tell them. But they couldn't feel any difference between grows. So
did you tell them that you made changes on this grow?
No, the only changes is going to be in the strains because they were out of the ones I usually buy. So, but it's from the same company.
Well, I mean, when they were sampling this previous grow that we just harvested,
the previous two was the same strain I always use.
But did you tell them that you changed how the style or technique of growing?
Yeah, they knew this was living soil or organic. Some of them I don't know if they know the difference between organic and living soil. I'm not sure they know the difference.
Well,
they just want the product.
We are going to make sure to be sharing these pictures on a Google link down the description. Stig, I hope to actually have you back onto the channel because we just plan to keep going through debriefings, grow by grow, just like this.
Yes, my pleasure. It's I want to give back. You are giving so much, so I'm here for you and for Perfect Garden all the time. It's no burden of mine to share this knowledge.
Really, I'm not doing anything, man. You genuinely are putting in the energy and effort of what it takes to become a master grower, and it just shows what you can do in just one grow.
Yeah, I still can't believe it, really. When I think about it, I was just looking through all these pictures and stuff that I have saved, and I can't believe it's the same strain. Some of these old pictures. Yeah, you've seen them, so you know.
Did you show the breeder?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to share it with him.
Got it. No, I understand. All right. Well, Stig, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. I appreciate you. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You had something else to say?
No, just that I'm very grateful to have Perfect Garden as a group and as all your friends there and my friends there. It's I couldn't be happier.
Thank you, brother. You know, the plant can't control the light, but it's talking to you and saying, hey, you know, this is what's going on. If you learn to just be very in tune to that, as the plant's growing, you'll know